Y ahora os dejo con nuestra invitada especial de San Francisco, Hanah, de Eventbrite.
Hola, me llamo Hanah. Soy una ingeniera de software full stack en Eventbrite en San Francisco. Lo siento, no hablo mucho español. Yo puedo preguntar dónde está el baño. Es más importante porque yo estoy un poquito nerviosa. So I'm going to switch to English. So sorry. Yeah, so it's funny that I'm standing here giving this talk because I have sworn multiple times in my life that I would never, ever, ever be a software engineer. I've done everything but software engineering up until about 3 years ago. 4 years ago, I was working, oh, hang on. I have no pictures. That's okay, it's fine. Cool, it's fine. We'll just imagine. Use the imagination. This was a picture of all my interns at Stanford when I was working as an event planner and as a program coordinator. And then 6 years ago, this is actually a picture of me going like a pirate because, very important, because I was working on a history thesis on pirates at University of California, San Diego. And so I was doing essentially anything but software engineering. Actually, when I was doing my thesis on pirates, when I was presenting it to the crowd, I was complaining about the historical databases that I had to do my research in and saying that, oh, if I was a software engineer, I would code those databases so much better. Now I know it's nearly impossible. But I literally said after that, and I'm never going to be a software engineer as a result. So just to give you another idea, I've worked as a makeup artist. Also, my emojis are gone. That's fine. There's a couple of them. OK, cool. I worked as a makeup artist. I've worked as a secretary. I've done a lot, essentially. And as I started thinking about, well, why did I never want to be a software engineer? Why did I never even consider the possibility? I realized it's because for a lot of my life, even though I grew up in Silicon Valley, I thought that software engineers kind of looked like this. I'm glad the picture stuck around. And so, well, then I started thinking, OK, well, why does a software engineer to me look like this? And I realized, hopefully the pictures are here, yes. I realized that all the movies and TV shows in the 1990s and 2000s when I grew up, these software engineers, coders, hackers, don't really look like me. Or also coding kind of looked like this. Oh, well, this is all the movies, which are, don't get me wrong, they're good movies. Just want to make sure I give credit where credit's due. But software engineering kind of looked like this as well, which also didn't look like a lot of fun, honestly. And so this is all to say that representation matters. And I think we all know this because we're all here together at a Women Tech Makers event in Alicante. But I still want to reiterate that fact because I think it is truly, truly important that events like this get hosted and that people get to see more different people up on the stage. Actually, I want to give a quick quote from a paper about diversity and the media. Both the news and the entertainment media teach the public about minorities, such as women, gays, elderly. Minorities realize, supported by research, that the media influences not only how others view them, but even how they view themselves. So moving forward, I hope we see a few more women coders, which we actually have. I think there was an ABC, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which, by the way, is great. There was a woman coder on that. And also Veronica Mars also has a woman. So yeah. I was saying no software engineering, never, ever, ever. And then I took a coding class when I was 24, and I fell in love. And I think within the coding community, we already feel like we know why coding is awesome. It brings in a lot of money, there's good jobs at big companies, et cetera. But I think it is important to talk about why is coding great, and talk about it in a way that people can relate to it. And so for me, the way that I talk about coding is I say that it's investigative. It's kind of like you're a detective and you're pulling the threads in a repository to find where the end leads. I actually love bugs. Don't tell anybody in my company that, because then they're going to assign all the bugs to me. But the investigativeness of the aspect of that is what bugs are, especially that. I also think that coding is really collaborative. I mean, if we go back to the, to the idea of an engineer, the kind of the stereotype is an engineer sitting in a dark corner somewhere producing 80,000 lines of code in one night or a week or whatever, and then, being like, here, it works. I think that I have seen code that has been written like that. It sucks because it is unreadable, it is unmaintainable, and so as a result, and it kind of sort of maybe works until it breaks and then you have to edit it and you can't edit it. And so to me, coding is a very collaborative process. In coding bootcamp in San Francisco, I was taught that your code is only as good as you can talk about it. If you can't talk about your code, which means social interaction with another human being, then you can't write good code. And at Eventbrite, we do a lot of pair programming, we do a lot of code reviews, etc. Coding, to me, it's problem solving in its purest form, which I love. I'm okay at math, but I love coding. I love logic, and then I get to build cool stuff, which, I think that's pretty much a given. So a little bit more back to my journey. I went to a coding bootcamp when I was 25. I couldn't get a job afterwards for a while, so I ended up working as a coding teacher at a high school girls coding bootcamp for the summer, and then I got my first engineering job. But I realized as I was going through this whole process that I kind of had a lot of doubt. And I realized that there was a name for this, and this name for this is called Imposter Syndrome. And bear with me if you already know what the syndrome is, but it's which an individual doubts his or her accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. And this particularly affects people that are in the minority. So a woman walking into a room full of male engineers might feel out of place, and then even though everyone belongs there equally, that person might start to feel out of place. And I'm not here to necessarily list all the ways in which imposter syndrome can be solved, but I want to talk about a little bit how I overcame it. And for me, I learned to value this concept of growth. Well, first of all, I do want to say imposter syndrome exists, and it's okay, and it's good that we're talking about it. But I want to talk about growth mindset, which is based on the belief that your basic qualities are things that you can cultivate through your efforts. So instead of finding confidence in my knowledge base, I instead find confidence in my ability to grow my knowledge base. And I think that's where I found a lot of my confidence, that I can walk into a room full of senior engineers. I might not understand what's going on, but I know that I can learn to understand. And that's been a really crucial thing for me. I want to talk a little bit about my mom. So my mom actually, surprise, surprise, she is a software engineer, and she has been in Silicon Valley now for 30 years. And you might ask, well, Hanah, you were just complaining about how there's no representation in your life of software engineers, and yet your mom was one. Well, I swore I'd also never be my mom. So I said never a lot of times. But my mom came from Russia to America as a refugee, didn't speak the language. She did know how to code, but she had to relearn how to code in English. She had to learn several new languages, including Cobalt and Java, and she has now had a very successful career. So this is, to me, an example of what education, the gift of education, can look like, and working hard in education. Actually, funny side story about Java really quickly. My mom was working when Java first was invented, and she remembered looking for job postings where they were looking for 5 years of experience in Java, except Java had only been around for 2 years. So Silicon Valley always kind of inflates things a little bit. Oh, nope, that's backwards. All right, cool. So I want to say that education matters. 3 years ago, when I was actually teaching in that coding bootcamp, I was living in a closet in San Francisco, because you just can't afford anything but a closet on a teacher education. And now I'm standing here giving a talk in All in Conte, so this is crazy. So the power of education. That's something I just really want to emphasize. So kind of going through, I finished my first job, it was great, I needed something new, something else, and so I joined Eventbrite. And this is not necessarily a plug for Eventbrite, but I am going to talk about how Eventbrite has a really good culture. And so first of all, we're focused on education, especially of junior engineers. And here's the thing, I don't know exactly what the kind of statistics are in Spain as far as junior engineers and diversity, et cetera, but in San Francisco, if you want diversity, you need to hire junior. And that leads to my second point, that diversity isn't our goal, it's our way of doing things. And this also actually comes directly from our product, and that our product is used by a huge, diverse set of people. Events are for everybody. Everyone wants to come together through live experiences to be with each other. We sell tickets, but I like to think that we do something a little bit bigger. And there's pictures of cool stuff that I've done during the 1 year of my job. Back to the educational aspect, since I truly think that education is important, I started an internal mentorship program, and the program is now being run across 6 offices across the globe: United States, Argentina, Spain, Canada. I have 85 people involved in the program right now out of a 300-person department. Hopefully, we just launched yesterday, and hopefully we'll get more people this time around. It's a 6-month program, one-to-one mentor-mentee pairing. Engineers don't have to necessarily work on work projects, and it's also, this is the last crucial thing, you need to set up an environment that is supportive of these initiatives, and as such, this is very much encouraged by management. And why? Well, education initiatives keep people engaged. It also makes the product better if you have better engineers. And this also goes to say that I couldn't have set up this program at Eventbrite if I hadn't had the program coordination experience that I had back in Stanford, right? Like, I have done things other than engineering that I can bring to the table that I feel like make me a better engineer as well, in general, in contributing to the culture, in contributing to the code, et cetera. So this was all to say that we talk a lot at Eventbrite about being a creator of experiences, and so for me, it's very much, you can be the creator of the culture you want to see. Culture, a lot of the time, in corporations or in communities or in organizations, starts from the ground up. So I think that's extremely important. And lastly, never say never, in which I actually mean, cliché-ly, to believe in yourself. I think it's an extremely important thing. And surprise yourself. You never know where you may end up, like here in Alicante at the Women Tech Makers event. Thank you so much.